Hello world, and welcome to Elevated Intuition. Today we are doing a pick a card reading, our weekly reading, weekly energy check-in, what's going on with this week. When we do a pick a card reading, I have three options. Well, I have options for you basically. So option 1, 2, and 3. This is Mystical Mondays, this is Everyday Witch, and then this is Tarot of the Divine, if that makes a difference for you. If you like to pick with objects, I'll be placing objects here in a moment. And the pick a card means that you can just, if you want to pick number 2, you go down into the description. I have the timestamps down there. And you click on that and it will just take you to that reading. You don't have to listen to the other readings to get to yours. So there's a shortcut there in the description or in the comment section down below. So at any time you can just go there and I will meet you there and use my intuition to read the cards for you and discuss the energy of this next week. For group number 1, if you like objects, group number 1 is going to be this really cool crystal. It is Lavender Fluorite. Just going to put that like that. For group number 2, the crystal I'm going to use for group number 2, this is Hematoid. Quartz. So it's quartz and then it has like this beautiful red going through it. And then for group number 3, we have this lovely point. This is Smoky quartz. If you're still not sure which one to choose, I'm going to do a breathing exercise and you're invited to do that with me. I'm just going to get comfortable in my seat. I like to plant my feet on the floor and close my eyes. Take a deep breath in and release. We're going to set the intention that you get the messages that you need to hear. Take another deep breath in and release. Okay, now go ahead and open your eyes, and wherever your eyes are drawn, that is the group for you. Thanks so much, and I'll meet you at your reading. Hello group 1, if you chose this lilac fluorite, I forgot what it was for a moment, the lilac fluorite, if you just like the number 1, or maybe you like this Mystical Mondays deck, you were in the right place. So we'll get to that in a moment. I'm just gonna pull out the first card that comes out for you, and we have Selene. So Selene, from Greek mythology, there are a lot of goddesses, I think mostly goddesses, I can't think of any gods at the moment, who were connected to the moon. If you can think of a god, let me know in the comments down below. But Selene was like literally the moon. So she went across the sky, I think it was a carriage that was pulled by 2 horses that drew across the sky. But she was also in love, so her love, I cannot remember his name, and I probably can't pronounce it if I did, was given a choice by Zeus if he could, you know, just live a normal life, or he could live forever, but he would be forever asleep, and that's what he chose. So very kind of tragic for her, because she has her love forever, but she can only visit him in a cave while he's sleeping. Anyway, how that translates for you, first of all, I think paying attention to the moon cycles is important. And as we enter this week, if you're watching this as I upload, we just had a new moon in Gemini. So new moons are a great time to actually look forward. And that's kind of the cautionary tale of Selene, because she's caught in the past. She's really kind of caught in the memories of her love rather than making those new memories. So this week, let's talk about and think about moving forward. What is it that we want to bring into reality? And let's get a little bit more information on what that is. We have the Wheel of Fortune. So very interesting. Oh, the Devil reversed, 8 of Swords reversed, perfect. And then we've got the Six of Swords. So this is a week of movement for you, and movement in the direction of your dreams, actually. This is getting real with yourself, being honest with what you're doing, and honest with, I think you know what can help your situation, whether that is a situation within work, whether that is like body goals, mind goals, whatever your goals are. The Wheel of Fortune is one of those cards where it can kind of be a sticky situation, because it's a reminder that we have ups and downs. This too shall pass is often what comes to mind when we see the Wheel of Fortune, because sometimes, you know, we're on the top of the wheel, sometimes we're on the bottom of the wheel, and it is a reminder that there is an ebb and flow to the world. There is an ebb and flow to our lives. There are cycles. So, but within cycles, we can kind of control what's going on. And that's why we have the Devil reversed and the Eight of Swords reversed, because whatever you're not doing, whatever you're not achieving, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you're the one holding yourself back. I love it that we have these two cards in reverse, though, because that means that the energy is about to shift and change, mostly because you're the one who decides that you're done with this cycle, you're going into a new cycle, and you're going to basically pick up the wheel and start turning it in the direction of your dreams. Most of that starts with letting go of the past. When we are fixated or focused on the past, that can be a great thing. It's bad when it keeps us trapped in a certain spot, like here in the Eight of Swords or even in the Devil. The Devil is one of those things, like it is so attractive to sometimes be in a mindset of lack. It is so attractive to kind of play the victim. Even if you have been victimized, even if there are things that have happened beyond your control. That is true for everyone, though. That is not just an experience unique to you. To move past it is to face it, is to look at it, is to realize what you are doing, to realize, you're taking this blindfold off here. She is in a prison of being trapped by these swords. Swords are her own thoughts. Swords are her own inability to move in this. And she's like, but my hands are tied. But who is tying your hands? You are yourself. And just because something might be a little bit difficult to do, something that might take some time to do, the time is going to pass anyway. You need to start investing in yourself. And I love the stairway here with the Devil, because this is actually like, it looks like we're climbing out of our own mind and we're making forward progress. The Six of Swords is forward progress. We're realizing we hit a snag. We're okay with that. We're realizing we have a human experience. We're forgiving the past. We're letting it go because we're no longer allowing it to hold us back. And we're marching into the direction of our dreams. And we're pushing forward. The Six of Swords, I mean, I was going to mention like how these are arranged. We're going to start rearranging our thoughts. We're going to start figuring out the direction that we want to move in, and it doesn't take big steps. It can be little by little by little. And especially the more that you feel like you've been crushed by the wheel, crushed by these cycles, held back, the more wronged that you feel. Like, it may take some time, but we need to start turning in the direction and heading into the direction of your dreams. And more than likely, we know exactly what it is that we need to do. We have just been held in this position for whatever reason, for our attachments to the past, for our attachments to the way that things were, for this idea of like the glamorization of like this victimhood mentality. it's fun sometimes. I hate to use that word fun, to go online and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I did this, that this happened to me. And everybody is like, oh no, that's too bad. However, that keeps you locked in a position that isn't very fun. And we need to start creating our own reality and looking at the blueprints of what that is for you and what that means. Self-love. Self-love is really important. Love yourself enough that you don't need the sympathy from others when you tell them that something bad has happened, or love yourself enough that you're going to get your butt up 10 minutes early and go for a walk for 10 minutes, that you're going to make a decision that is better for you, instead of, that you're going to put in a little bit of work here to make yourself breakfast instead of skipping it, or instead of it going into McDonald's for it. It's not necessarily about, it's more about shaping your health. It's more about thinking of the things. A lot of times we have this idea that we're missing out, and really we need to change the mindset of what beautiful things you're going to bring into your life. But it starts with self-love. Relationship-wise, it can start with you love yourself too much to allow yourself to be treated a certain way. Job-wise, you love yourself too much to stay in a position that, even though it is comfortable, that it's not reaching your goals, that it's not allowing you to reach your potential, that is, it's not what you want for your life. And this creation, I love that we have creation, and I love that we have Wheel of Fortune here. These are so powerful together. So many times we go through our daily lives and we're like, I need to get, these things done. And we just drift through and allow things to happen and allow things to unfold. This creation is kind of peeking behind the scenes a little bit. It's realizing that we create our own reality, and it is moving towards that. That is a huge concept of creating our own reality, and it's a hard one. Trust me, I struggle with this all the time. But it's the little things that matter. It's the little things that count. And it's making small changes for big results. If you save $1 a day, for example, or I saw where they save $1 for the day 1, $2 day 2, $3, that adds up. That's actually compounding itself in that example. Maybe you can't do that every day. Maybe you can do that for the week, though. You can save $1 for week 1, $2 for week 2, and it starts adding up over time. And you just start saving, or you start moving, or you start putting together small things here and there that's going to make a big difference. Maybe your dream is that you want to be a painter. Well, a lot of times the supplies that you need are very expensive. You get what you need today. You don't have to start off with everything. For me, I wanted to be a tarot reader. All I needed to do was start with one deck, and now I just add here and there, here and there. It's crazy the things that we can do. This creation kind of energy, you can create really bad things with it too. Like, you can become a hoarder very easily. But we're using we're letting go of things that are holding us back. We're bringing in new and beautiful things. We're taking up our own destiny. Maybe we're not sure exactly which way to go. That's okay. We're going to put some thought behind it. We're going to meditate on it. And the biggest thing that the biggest motivator here for us is that we're going to put ourselves first, our self-love. What is it that somebody who loved themselves would do? Maybe that's a question you need to ask yourself. So just for this week reading, that's what I have for you. Putting yourself first, picking those things up. What are some things that you're attached to that you can let go, that have been holding you back? We need to move forward. We need to give some forgiveness to the past. We're not looking back anymore. And in fact, when we are looking back on our lives, when we are like stuck in a moment, stuck on a person, stuck in a relationship, stuck on something that happened our first semester of college, and we have regrets about that, those are just things that keep us in this position and hold us back. It's time to start letting go. It's time to start releasing those things, because that is what's keeping us from the future that we really want and need and deserve. So that's what I have for you, Group 1. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, Group 2. This is the Hematoid Quartz. Very pretty. Number 2 is really great, and I love this deck. But before we get to that, I'm going to pull out this other card. It's kind of like an overall energy. We're going with this Goddesses deck. It's actually Witches of Legend. And you get Hecate. So Hecate is from Greek mythology. She was actually a Titan. So the Titans ruled the earth, and then the Olympians came in. That's the Zeus crowd. Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, those guys. Hecate was the only, and then they fought the Titans and banished the Titans. Hecate was like the only Titan allowed to still have influence with humans. She is associated with the underworld. So, and she's also takes a huge part in the Hades and Persephone myth. So Hades was the god of the underworld. He falls in love with Persephone, and he kidnaps her, and her mother Demeter is really angry about this. And Demeter is the goddess of where everything grows. We need Demeter. Hecate tells Demeter where Persephone is, and she helps kind of with that. I see her as kind of like the goddess of crossroads a little bit. She is almost like a peacemaker. She's almost as somebody who walks in many different worlds, right? Because she helps, bridge the gap between that myth with Hades kidnapping Persephone is kind of the explanation of why we have spring, why we have seasons, why we have cycles. Because when Persephone is in the underworld, nothing grows. Demeter won't allow it. When Persephone comes up from the underworld in the spring, that's when we get this flourish of life. And Hecate helps to make that possible. And then she also walks the kind of the world between the Titans and the Olympians. So I kind of feel like you might be bridging some gaps. You might be having some choices. You might be kind of pulling two opposite things together. And Hecate does that very well. She often is depicted, this one has 3 heads, but I think it's said that she had 3 bodies. So I find that interesting as well. Ooh, the Hierophant, and in reverse. Queen of Wands. And then we get the 9 of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles. So this is really interesting, especially with Hecate, when we have the Hierophant in reverse and the Queen of Wands. I kind of feel like you are breaking out of maybe a role that you have been in for a while. And it might be something that has been dictated to you, really, and it could be a role that you even wanted, but it may have been dictated to you more out of what society expects or what your family expects, or you just read a bunch of Cosmo magazines and you thought that this is what you're supposed to do because you're this type of person. And the Queen of Wands is it, but then you've done that, you've been there, done that, lived that, and you look like you want to break out of that role and do something a little bit different. That kind of relates to Hecate in that, like, yes, she was a Titan, but she was able to get along with the Olympians. Like, she didn't have to have that one particular role all of her life. Things change, and things are changing for you. It might be something that you've been putting a lot of thought into and is kind of, change is hard, and sometimes we get some negative thinking about it because a lot of times the role that we're in or what we're doing, we have talked ourselves into doing that, and maybe it was difficult to even get where you are. For example, like maybe you have like a particular career and it was hard to get there, and now that you're there, now that you've achieved that, you kind of want to change your role. Or maybe it is something like you quit your job for a while to raise your kids, and now you're thinking, oh, what am I going to do to be my own boss? How can I re-enter the workforce? The Nine of Swords here can speak about it not being that easy, but you don't have to be as hard on yourself as you have been being. And I love this particular Nine of Swords, because while she is kind of looking for answers, while she is kind of beating herself up, we do have the sun rising on the horizon. We do have the birds chirping, and it's time to kind of calm our mind a little bit. I love the way that Hecate is depicted here that might be a little bit of meditation and quieting your mind. I think your mind is kind of working against you a little bit in this transition change. And I love the Eight of Pentacles, and I kind of spent some time talking about like roles changing with work, or you are, and maybe it is that you want to quit your job and stay home with kids, something like that. That's what Pentacles is about. Pentacles is about the physical. Pentacles is about the work. Pentacles is often about money. Maybe it is that you really want to shift gears and learn new skills. And that's what the Eight of Pentacles is about. This is you seeing yourself moving forward with your dreams. The ego, I a lot of times see the ego in the Nine of Swords, because when something is kind of holding us back from change, even if it's a change that we want, sometimes our mind, we get these intrusive thoughts, and our mind tells us things, not so nice things about us not being able to accomplish something, or we are this type of person, we can't change and be this type of person. I know it's hard to believe that is kind of there for our protection. The ego is concerned about rejection. The ego is concerned about letting go of this thing over here because it's nice and secure and it pays the bills, and we know what we're doing over here. We're comfortable over here. But the Hierophant in reverse and the Queen of Wands suggests that it also no longer feels right for you. It feels like you've outgrown it. It feels like you are learning more. It feels like you want to put more into this creation. So this week is about you doing some meditation, and it looks like it's in regard to work. And what are the skills that you need? What is it a class that you need to take? Is it really just kind of revamping the skills that you've used over here and putting it towards a different direction? There's certainly, you're strong enough, you're smart enough, all of that is true. So it's time to let go of the negative thinking. And when you quiet this negative voice, what are the other voices telling you? The Queen of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles, like these are cards of action. These are cards of moving towards your passion, moving towards your dreams, accomplishing those things. Start creating, get your hands dirty, figure those things out. So this is just the pep talk for you, to let go of the negative thinking that's holding you back. You're going to be successful. The Queen of Wands and now the Harvest Moon fruition is showing us that. I think you'll see signs of success around September, October time frame. And then the realization, I love that realization comes in here too. Realizing that you're outgrowing where you are right now, realizing that it's okay, realizing that this is kind of part of the cycle. We are human beings. We are consciousness. We are not meant to stay in one spot. And I keep seeing things as far as job-related statistics and how, people change their jobs over time, or like people used to stay in the same job for a long time, and it's almost presented as like a negative, that you change your job, you change your roles, your career trajectory changes. But we're changing, we're evolving, and it's definitely a positive when you realize that it's part of your growth. It's part of your evolution, as it were. So Hecate could have stayed a Titan forever, but remember, the Titans were banished. They were done with. It was over with. And it was the time of the Olympians, but she adapted, and it's time for you to adapt as well. And this adaptation is going to take some work, is going to take some effort, but it's one of passion for you, and it's one of something that I think that you have been asking for, and I think you're going to see some results here. The big takeaway for you is keep your eye on the prize, that we have fruition and we've got realization here. This is you like leveling up. You're not going backwards, and quieting those negative thoughts, quieting the mind. That is harder than it looks. Trust me. I know what it's like to have intrusive thoughts, to have these negative thoughts, to have this anxiety about the future, to be kind of like looking backwards into the past. I wish I would have, should have, could have done something different. Everything that you've done thus far has led you to where you are right now. Be thankful for that. That's the first thing to think about in letting the negativity go. You can do a pros cons list. On the cons, like once you're done with that, I would burn it so that we let it go. But there's something very therapeutic about putting that information on paper, putting your concerns, your worries on paper. I love what's coming through right now is I think it's from Alice in Wonderland, is like, she's, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't know what the saying is, but it's like, well, what if I fall? And but what if you fly? And this is about realizing that you have wings and you can fly. So that's what I have for you, Group 2. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Thanks so much for being here with me, and I will see you in the next reading. Hello, Group 3. If you chose the Smoky Quartz point, you are in the right place. This is the Tarot of the Divine, the number 3. We're just going to move this over here for just a moment, and we have a Witches of Legend card, just kind of like the overall energy of your next week, and then we'll get some more information with the tarot cards, and then I have another deck at the end. So Freya comes out for you. Freya is a Norse goddess. She is, known for fertility, known for beauty, known for, fertility is one of those big ones for her, and really embraces her sexuality and her sensuality. I would say she's very bougie. I laugh because I don't think I've ever seen that her described in, you know, bougie, but the finer things in life is what she loves. I guess there's two types of gods. There's Freya, who in Norse mythology, there's the war gods where we've got Odin, Loki, those gods, and then the Freya type gods, which are the Vanir, who are fertility gods, and then the Aesir, who are the war type gods. That's the Odin, Loki, Thors. So I just feel like there's a lot of, it's almost femininity and masculinity, really. I don't want to say, ooh, Two of Cups. Yeah, so love for sure. When we've got the Two of Cups and Freya, Five of Cups here. Interesting. What else do we have? So emotions running high this week. We got the Nine of Swords in the last reading. And then we got the Eight of Cups. A lot of cups here. I feel like you are realizing that you're looking for better or deserving of better than what your maybe current situation is. The Nine of Swords is really interesting being here, and then the Five of Cups. Like both of these cards indicate being kind of trapped in or locked in your feelings, kind of trapped in or locked in your emotions and your thoughts. I kind of feel like it's interesting that we have the Two of Cups and the Eight of Cups here. Cups cards are all about those emotions. Cups cards are about the feels. Cups cards are about like following your heart. And as certainly the Eight of Cups is about following your heart. And when we have the Two of Cups, the Two of Cups is like one of my favorite cards. It's all about love. It's all about that reciprocity, really, between you and another person, that connection, that feeling heard. And I almost feel like this part is you kind of rising up. There's also part of the Freya story where she was, you know, because they had that battle between the two types of gods and goddesses, and they burned her 3 times in Odin's temple, and she rose up from the ashes each time. So I almost feel like you, that's kind of a weird thing to say, but you might like having a broken heart, or you might, and maybe not like it, but you're not afraid of getting a broken heart, because each time I think you realize it teaches you something more about yourself and how strong you are. I think the idea of love is something that you want. It's certainly something that you deserve. And you might need to think about the type of people or the type of relationship that you keep repeating over and over again. Usually the Two of Cups, I mean, is a love relationship. It can be like a relationship, like, I mean, we could be talking about a work thing here where you just really love your work and it's just not working out the way you thought it would. Maybe there were promises made and you're putting your heart and soul into something. You're certainly putting your heart and soul into something, whether that's a relationship or your work situation, and it's really not coming out the way that you thought it would. And probably because you're putting in a lot more effort than other people are putting into the situation that you expect. The Five of Cups, though, kind of indicates that maybe things are not as bad as you think that they are. We have these 3 cups that are spilled, and we get angry and upset. We get worried. We anxious about those cups, when in reality we still have more chances back here. And I think as long as we are learning and growing from our experiences, that we need to count that as a positive. We need to count that towards our moving forward. And, you know, our minds are so crazy. We can really get trapped in negativity pretty easy. Even negative experiences. If we have like a bad moment, maybe we're driving to work and somebody cuts us off, we're very prone to allow that to ruin like the rest of our day, or at least a good portion of our day. When that person who cut you off, like, they're just trying to get to work, or they're just trying to get to where they're going, and maybe they didn't know that they cut you off. You know, there's a miscommunication between the two of you, something like that. So it's really a look at what is kind of holding you back here, and what is bringing you forward, what is holding you back, what are the lessons that you need to learn, and what are the things that you do need to release without putting too much effort or too much emphasis on like these spilled cups. So these are questions that you need to answer yourself, because what you're really supposed to do in this is thrive. You're really supposed to get these lessons and move forward and allow it to make you stronger, not weaker. The Nine of Swords, though, can indicate that we're kind of trapped in a cycle of negative thinking that is holding us back, that is not allowing us to progress. But when we finish off with the Eight of Cups, I love the Eight of Cups. Even though it's not, you know, it's part of the journey. It's remembering that the joy is in the journey, that we're moving towards something great. And the Eight of Cups comes before one of the other really, really great cards in tarot, which is the Nine of Cups, which is the Wish card. And the Eight of Cups is just finally that you were like, hey, I have this idea in my head of what I wanted. I got into this situation and realized it's not what I want. I know who I am. I know my worth. I know what I want. And being unapologetic for it. So many times too, when we know our value, people around us try to devalue us, not because you're not worth that, but because they have already devalued themselves and given up. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going to buy into that anymore. We're done with that. Where I'm moving forward, I'm going to go and get anything and everything that I have ever wanted, and I'm going to accomplish it. I'm not going to be held back anymore. So this week is a lot of that kind of, I'm not going to be held back. I am going, look at this, sovereignty. Maybe boundaries is something that you need to enforce. And beauty. Very good. So beauty is another one of those things that it's very subjective, but I was going to say, like, it has to be, you know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And so many times we're checking with other people on whether something is beautiful or not, and that type of validation. But sovereignty and Freya is saying, nope, this is all what you believe. This is all what you want. This is all, you know, putting those boundaries in place and defining the beauty for yourself. I think it's also about discovering the beauty that is you, and in your mind and your power. It's so crazy. A lot of times, you know, we exert our power and people will make us feel like that isn't beautiful, or that isn't the right thing to do, or that isn't powerful. And I just feel like a lot of the negativity here in the Five of Cups and the Nine of Swords is coming from external sources, and you allowing it to come in from those external sources. Exert your sovereignty. You know, embrace this Freya energy, this power that is you. Don't let other people define their value, you know, define your values. The other funny thing about that, about those values, I'm just going to pick on vegans here for a moment, is that when you I'm picking on vegans, and if you're vegan, I'm sorry, but a lot of vegans will comment on somebody else's, somebody's making barbecue, and they will comment on that or try to sway people who don't believe the same way that they do. If your way is so great, why do you need other people to buy into it? Okay, if being a vegan is so great, why do you need other people to buy into it? And I'm sorry to pick on vegans here. It's just that it's one thing that I see almost every single day about, well, that's not good for this, or that's not good. And most of the time, the things that you're saying are really not true, but I digress. And if you want to mention things in the comments, we can discuss that. I'm just saying, like, there's people who are fanatical about one thing or another, but if you really are so fanatical, or if they really are so into that thing, why do they have to make you believe in their thing for their thing to be valid? You see what I'm saying there? So a lot of times, CrossFit is another one where it's like, CrossFit's the best. You should CrossFit. Going to college is the best. You should do that. It's whatever their values are. If their values are so great, why do they try to convince you to do that? And in fact, if their values don't match yours, a lot of times they try to use guilt and they try to use shame. Religion is really good with this. To make you feel like you're less than if you don't do these things. And then you do those things and you don't feel better. It's because you're not being your authentic self. You're not exerting your own beliefs, your own power, your own sovereignty. And I can reverse that to vegans. I can say, you're a vegan, and then the carnivores come for you. If they're so great in their meat-eating ways, why do they have to convince you of that? You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what side of the subject you're on. I just feel like a lot of people allow others to kind of make value judgments for you. And a lot of times those value judgments are based on some type of feeling and some type of manipulation. And I see a lot of cups cards in here because I see a lot of possibly emotional manipulation in here that is leading you to have some negative thoughts that really don't. And then those negative thoughts are because your beliefs are kind of colliding, if that makes sense. So I hope that's helpful in some way, that it's kind of stepping up into a higher perspective of what's going on. Realizing, a lot of people say a lot of things. Doesn't mean that they're right. Doesn't mean that's the right thing for you. Even if if something is right for them, it doesn't mean that's necessarily right for you. And this Freya energy and this sovereignty energy and this Eight of Cups is you deciding what's right for you and going out and finding it. You deciding what is beautiful and your own values without being pushed or manipulated. I feel like you're a very loving, kind, and connected person, right? Goddess of fertility here. A lot of love. So emotional manipulation can sometimes work with that. That's why we do need to set boundaries. You can still be kind and loving without being a pushover, without people manipulating you. There's so many manipulations though that go into because you're a good person. There's a lot, and companies know this, marketing firms know this. So this is kind of like, nope, I'm not believing the BS anymore, and I'm going with my own beliefs and following that, and then following my heart to what it is that I want. So that's what I have for you, Group 3. I hope that you have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will see you in the next reading.